Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and honor and glory that's definitely due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakak, Radash. Um, my name is Atiyat, out of the GMS Waco, Texas camp. I'd like to give a special double honors to our elders and apostles on down at GMS, those fine, sincere brothers who teach well and rule well and are great examples to us brothers out here. Peace and salutations to the elect. May the blessing of election be upon your household, on you sincere brothers and you few sisters out there that listen and take heed. And lesson for today, we have to prove all things. And Lord willing, I hope and pray that this will be an edifying lesson. And so that being said, I was inspired to do this video because this was a young Jake came up and, unannounced, he came up to our elders and he was like, who are y'all? And brothers told him from Great Millstone. And so he told him that he asked him who he was. He was from our USBK. And so Elder Yashawamba say, man, that's wrong for y'all to say that John the Baptist fell out of the truth. John the Baptist did not fall out the truth, And really, at the end of the day, when it came to that young man, he didn't know nothing. He didn't even know about, the lineage of what tribe that Aaron came out of. He really didn't know nothing. All he knew to say was, he was, all he knew was to say was Shalakia, pretty much, Shalakia. And it's like, wow, okay, is this all you know? You don't know what tribe Aaron came out of. So which proves to you that these people, these other Israelite camps are not always teaching everything the correct way. And for, and at the end of the day, he said that he was going to stick with, basically he said he was going to stick with IUSPK anyway, no matter what have you. But whatever, that's his lot, But to come up and interrupt our elders while they're talking, that's something you just don't do. And I mean, I know I'm saying the elders, but there are the men, there are other brothers who do camps that are not, elders. But when you conduct camp, for you who see brothers out there doing the work, don't go up and interrupt. Be more willing to listen than to give a sacrifice of a food. With that being said, I'm going to go into Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 1. Keep thy foot when thou goest into the house of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. See, y'all see men, especially with Jake. Jake's got it bad. They just feel like, okay, they see one Jake, you got Jake's doing the work, right? You got brothers doing the work. And Jake will just come up and just talk to you because really in his mindset, he say, I'm just seeing another Jake out here. But what you're not seeing, you're seeing the men of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai bringing the word out the correct way. And it's best you shut the hell up and take heed and listen. And when the brother acknowledges you to, ask you questions or whatever, then that's when you come in, Just from personal experience, I remember when I, came into the knowledge, I was kind of, on my own for about a year or so, listening to Great Millstone. So I knew some things when um, I saw my camp leader out in the park, and I saw him out there, and but I didn't know he was, I didn't know that he was an affiliate of GMS at the time. He was with Prophets in Babylon, and I was kind of skeptical about going up there, but the spirit was heavy on me when I saw him to come back over there to the park, to where he was prophesying at, and see what the brother was saying. So when I came up, I didn't say nothing. I just listened, and finally he asked me some questions, and asked me, what, and I told him, hey, look, keep on talking. I come in peace. I didn't, come to, because I really wanted to feel him out and see who he was, because I wasn't for sure, who he was, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to hear. So finally he asked me, who I listened to, what have you, and I told him, I said, I listened to GMS, and he was like, oh, we follow under the ruling of GMS. The brother wasn't exactly in GMS, but he followed the teachings of the brothers out of GMS, beginning with our elder apostles. So, me being quiet, listening to what he had to say, and then waiting on him to acknowledge me later on, what have you, and that's how everything worked out. But there's a way of doing things. There's an order, and that man, he didn't follow no order. He just came up and asked who was he, got all in front of the camera, got all in front of the 12 tribe sign, asking questions and things of that nature. And like I say, Elder Yashawamba wanted to, let him know, hey, look, man, that doctrine that you're teaching, that John the Baptist fell out of the truth, that's a lie, man, And so with that being said, I'm going to go into it. Let me see. Let me go to a scripture here. I want to start in the Thessalonians. First Thessalonians 5 and chapter 21. Prove all things, hold fast to which is good. Yeah. So you can't just say things like John the Baptist fell out of the truth. You have to prove it through the scriptures. And if you're not proving it through the scriptures, you're just making up your own doctrine. And that's exactly what the IUSPK, the group that he's following, so he says, is doing, Now, there might be some things that they're teaching, there may be a few things they get right, let you're an Israelite. That's beautiful. But there's more to the doctrine than just knowing that you're an Israelite, right? And so I'm going to go into Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 2. These groups always talk about the laws, like IUIC, they're always constantly talking about the laws, follow the laws and things of that nature. Well, one of these laws is something right here in Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 2. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish from it, that ye may keep the commandments of the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, your God, which I command you. Yeah, so you can't add unto the scriptures. What's said in the scriptures, you go by it. You don't add on to it. You don't take nothing away from it, man. You just stick with the scriptures and you okay. But see, these men have sit there and said that, John the Baptist fell out of the truth. And you have to prove all things, like it was said in 1 Thessalonians 5 and 21. So you just can't go up and make your own doctrine, man. You're going off when you do stuff like that. um, Mark chapter, Mark chapter 12. Yes, Mark chapter 12. And I'm going to say, let me see, I think it's verse 24. And Yahushua answering said unto them, do ye not know therefore err, because ye ye know not the scriptures, neither the power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, which means He is or He exists, and then you have the Son's name, which is Yahushua. And this is Yahushua saying, do ye not therefore err, because ye know not the scriptures, neither the power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. So, they err not knowing the scriptures, and this is what's going on with IUSPK sitting there talking about John the Baptist fell out the truth, Now this is what Yahushua said about John the Baptist. Luke chapter 7 verse 28. For I say unto you, among those that are born of woman, there is not a greater prophet than John the Baptist. But he that is least in the kingdom of Yahweh is greater than he. Yeah. So at the end of the day, John the Baptist, this is what Yahushua said about John the Baptist. There was no greater prophet than John the Baptist. So, that's proof right there. Why would Yahushua say that? And if he had fell out the truth, man, and again, the scriptures say, prove all things, man. So, Lord willing, I hope and pray that this was an edifying lesson, to be more willing to listen than to fall, than to give a sacrifice of fools. When you come out to the camps, be quiet, listen. There may be a chance in the time when you get to ask whatever question you may ask, but in the meantime, let the brothers bring out the word, man, and you listen. Be more ready to listen than to, be a fool, because that's disrespectful when you come up and you interrupt brothers doing camp. You gotta understand, this is this is church, and the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is he doesn't dwell in places that are built by men. He dwells outside. This is why we as men go out on the highways and the hedges. We also do videos like we're doing right now, but we do things, we do it like Yahweh Hashem Yahushua commanded us, that we go out on the hedges, highways and the hedges. Matter of fact, even John the Baptist, he was outside in the wilderness because it was so wicked in the temple, and he recognized it and he left. And then when you also think about it, even it happened in modern times with the our elder apostles at One West. Things had gotten so increasingly wicked that they had to break away and get away, because things had, money had came into money was a factor of a lot of things, to where people started changing their opinions, and what ended up happening, true edification wasn't being brought out. So Elder Apostle Tahar, on down with our other elder apostles, they knew it and saw that, and they went on and left, and they've been doing the work ever since, man. They kept on doing what it is. And you know, like I say, there are great examples of in modern times of how to be. And so this is, you know, through the scriptures, we get the understanding that we go out on the highways and the hedges, you know, and teach, you know. And again, John the Baptist did not follow out the truth. And why would Yahushua say what he said? And we just read what was read in you know, in Luke. So again, I want to give all praises and honor and glory that's definitely due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakak, Radash. Special double honors to the elders and apostles on down in Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. Until the next time, Lord willing, I'll say Shalom.